Dungeons and Dragons 50th anniversary is releasing Dungeons and Dragons themed Legos. I'm like, my brain is exploding because I'm such a huge fan of Lego. Yeah, good to be playing again after this weekend, Kevin. I agree. One of the things is this, right? Like they actually are officially apologizing for that, which I think is really cool, right? So we're getting they extended the gold rolls. That's really cool as a VIP. I mean, I like them, of course. And then it looks like they are extending the VIP status, which that's really good considering if you did sub, you weren't able to log in for 48 hours. So that's a big W for them to actually like step up and give that. I think every MMO should do that. I've of course played ones that don't, but having played other games like a good example is Hoyo versus Genshin Impact. Anytime they even do like a game update, they will give you in-game currencies to spend on stuff, and it's not for anything like super great, but it's still something to say thanks for bearing with us for the downtime. That is a gotcha game, and I think DDO qualifies as a very sort of, although nobody would actually say it's a gotcha because you can't play it on a phone, but the way they have all the mechanics built in for like you to re-roll chests and buy astral shards, they are kind of like gambling tokens at a casino, and you can just spend them gold rolling as an example. I think it's like a quasi gotcha, and so it's good to see that they are, for the people who are spending money, giving stuff, and then it's always great to get more XP. So 25% heroic, that's going to help me on my TR, right? Guild Renown is always good. One of my biggest complaints about DDO is the system right now for Guild Renown, where if you are like me, and if you're basically a solo person guild, on Hardcore League, I run 1,000-person guild, but on Sarlona, I closed down the guild, and so I don't have a roster, it's just me. Well, I do get a tiny guild bonus when I get Guild Renown, but it's not enough for me to, like, I've been like level 125 for almost a year. It's just way too, like, I would like have to grind so much just to get, and then I would have to buy Guild Renown potions, right? So again, it's a gotcha. Like, yeah, I could do it, but I'd have to spend real money. Is there a way in-game to do it? Yeah, it's a grind that's going to take you 5 years, right? So, like, if I want to get my guild capped, which I don't, it's sort of just unrealistic, and I don't think that that's healthy for the game. I think that kind of stuff, that's like the old thinking for when they made this like an a la carte free-to-play. I think they need to get rid of that mindset and just let people, grind for Guild Renown in a shorter window. For specifically with Guild Renown, it shouldn't take a person who's playing alone 5 years to get what, because if I were to get the guild, like we see it on Hardcore, with 1,000 members, they get us blasted up 100 levels in a week. Like, so it's way different. It's way faster with people. And it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't have to play with people if you don't want to, right? Some people are introverts. Some people like to play alone. Some people like to solo. And then treasure boost, I'm not sure that does anything. I drank like a 15% VIP, like from the Salt Marsh elixir, and I went out there to loot to try to get some more of those tomes in the Salt Marsh, and I looted a whole bunch of chests, and I got nothing. So, I mean, I'm not sure that those actually work, but it's nice of them to do it. So that's really cool. And it looks like Dragon Lord is now for sale, right, in the store. and that's good. The next bit of news that I saw, and I haven't really had a chance to look at this, so we'll look at it together because it involves the game, is this. And I don't know if you guys can actually read this headline here, so I'll move that. But apparently Wizards of the Coast is developing a Dungeons and Dragons game that's not set in the Forgotten Realm. So we're going to read this and see what it is they're talking about, okay? I love the AI voices, and I could have an AI voice read this, but I get hate mail about the fucking AI voices. Just because I like the AI voices doesn't mean I want robots to replace humans, right? So I will not use the AI voice for this. I'll save it for my own private time, and we'll actually read it together. But so Wizards of the Coast is expanding the D&D video game scene with a project set up outside its Forgotten Realms setting. Well, we're all playing DDO, and that is outside the Forgotten Realms setting. That is in Eberron, and yeah, I mean, there are so many really cool game settings that they've had over the years. It'd be really interesting to see. What I was hoping that they did was Dragonlance. That's the one that I really like. Dragonlance has been wrapped up in some sort of legal dispute for years, and I think his name is Tracy Hickman. Is it Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman? I think that's the couple who wrote the original books. Well, I follow him on Twitter, and I could have swore I saw something. I may be misquoting what I read. I may have misunderstood what I saw, but I could have swore I saw something that to the effect that legal battle was getting sorted out. Yeah, so I mean, I would love to see Dragonlance. Another one that's really cool is Dark Sun from back in the day. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. Yep. Yep. So head of product development for Wizards of the Coast, Dan Ayub, discussed the company plan to invest $1 billion into a AAA video game. They actually have an S on the end of that. So AAA video games to focus on the Hasbro IP and a new IP, such as Exodus. I'm not quite sure what that is. And I don't really want to click off this, but it looks like the link for the Exodus, maybe someone in chat knows. That goes to a comic book website. So maybe Exodus is something to do with D&D and comic books. So, I mean, but it sounds good. It sounds cool. Plans to develop D&D game outside of Faerun, the setting of Baldur's Gate 3 and countless other D&D. He said yes. When asked to elaborate, he said, obviously you hit the nail on the head. Faerun's certainly a popular area. When you go to people wanting expressions of what they know, it's a big part of it. I agree with that. A lot of the reason why people look at DDO and don't play it is they see Warforged and they come here and they see like the steampunk, even though it's not steampunk. When you first zone into the harbor in DDO, it's a little bit feels like that, and the lore isn't familiar, so I think that like drives a lot of people away. I think if our game was initially set in Faerun, I think it would be much more popular. It's just an opinion. He can't say much more beyond that, though. He didn't provide any teases about what settings could appear in a future D&D video game, although he did note he was a player in an Eberron campaign. Well, there you go. So this dude plays Eberron. I've said it before. I have some Eberron source books. Like, it is a really well thought out setting. Would I want to play another Eberron-based video game? I mean, like we just said, there's so many other cool. Trog said Mystara. I said Dragonlance. Like, you guys probably could. There's a lot of other settings. Wasn't Spelljammer a setting where there was D&D in space? Gamma World was like the post-apocalyptic D&D that was started with Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, which is one of my favorite modules of all time anyway. So I mean, there's just a lot of really cool stuff. And interestingly, now the original Fallout series by Brian Fargo, who made the first and the second game for Interplay, I think we're very influenced. I don't know this. I would love to talk to him, like love to interview him, because I have a feeling that he was a fan of Gamma World, like I was, because very, very reminiscent of it. It's one of the things that I think Bethesda didn't understand when they took over the title. Anyway, that's off topic. So Forgotten Realms is the most popular. Yeah, hands down. We all know that. It's way more popular than anything else. It's home to all of the books that people love, like all of those Menzo Berenzin books where you go into the Underdark, Icewind Dale, all of that stuff is Forgotten Realms. Oh, and they even mention them here. Yeah, 5th edition, including Fantasy Spelljammer, Steampunk Eberron. I disagree. It's not steampunk. What's his name who created it? You guys probably know the dude's name. He actually voices a couple of our modules. Kenneth Baker, I think his name is. He said that it's a mix. I'm trying to remember the three things that he said. It was Maltese Falcon meets Indiana Jones meets what, Lord of the Rings or something like that, for his inspiration for Eberron. So it has nothing to do with like steampunk, although people think it does. Ravenloft would be cool, and Dragonlance. So it looks like in the future we should be seeing at least an announcement about a new video game. And according to this dude, $1 billion is going into making AAA games. Now that's good and bad news, right? Like Baldur's Gate 3, they made it a AAA game, but they did not they didn't know it was going to be such a hit like it was. So, I mean, it can be good and bad, right? A lot of supposedly really high-end studios making AAA games have made some real winners. And I'm saying that ironically, like really terrible games recently. But you never know. I mean, they could make something, hopefully for us, that's good. Planescape Torment would be really cool. That would be nice. And that's it. Then that's the whole article right there. So hopefully we get to see more in the future, in the near future, about news about what the next D&D video game will be. I know after reading an update on Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios has no plans to do any more expansions for Baldur's Gate 3. They're not doing a DLC as of right now. They're not making another game in Faerun. They're not making another Dungeons and Dragons game. Whatever their next project is going to be something completely different. They did say that it'll be really cool, but they said it's going to be completely different. From my perspective, since they sort of picked up the cinematic storytelling from BioWare, like they are, in my mind, the intellectual successor of BioWare. If you go back in time to when BioWare was making Mass Effect and Dragon Age, and how cool those games were, how different they were, I love them. Like, but Mass Effect, one of my favorite series of all time. I played all the Dragon Age games. I didn't really like the last one that they made, but it wasn't so much the game itself. I'm not a fan of the Frostbite engine, so I think it was a little worse than it probably could have been. And then Mass Effect, the Shepard storyline was unbelievably cool, some really great science fiction. And then when they made Andromeda, my opinion of it was that they just basically threw a lot of money into a AAA game and completely borked it. It was terrible. I think I have like 50 minutes in Mass Effect 4, and then I uninstalled it. I just couldn't do it. It was just so bad. The writing was terrible. The graphics were awful. And back when that game first launched, like there were some really wonky graphic errors. I know that they went back and fixed it, but when I tried it again, it was just the writing was so bad. So I'm hoping Mass Effect 5, and they sort of confirmed this in 2020, although we haven't seen an update for Mass Effect 5 since then. So it makes me wonder what the hell BioWare is actually even doing. But it's supposed to be, we saw Liara, I think that's her name, holding like Shepard's helmet or something like that. So I think they're actually returning to Shepard's storyline, which is great. I know that you guys, if you watch me play Star Wars The Old Republic, that got out, like BioWare's no longer maintaining Star Wars The Old Republic. That was outsourced to some company, I don't know their name. So who knows what BioWare is up to. Hopefully EA didn't just gut them completely and they actually will, you know, make a game for us, whatever it is. Maybe another Dragon Age. We'll just have to see, right? Like, and so then the last bit of news was something that I saw in my email, and I don't know if any of you guys have seen it, but it's this. So let me move this camera. I mean, what the F? Lego for Dungeons and Dragons 50th anniversary is releasing Dungeons and Dragons themed Legos. I'm like, my brain is exploding because I'm such a huge fan of Lego. So I'm gonna play this. We'll see.
Brick by brick, head into the tavern of mystery, unravel the story.
To the meadow we flee.
With the owlbear behind us, we fight off giant spiders.
With the wisdom of a sentient tree.
Now into the dungeon, the secret door is
Bro, wait. they they made a beholder? What? I have to have that, like, immediately. Oh God, man, that's so cool. And the dragon, that looks really good. That dragon looks really, really good. That's a lot of custom pieces, right? But still, that's really cool. Look at the little characters. Like, that has to be a wizard, right? She's got a little wizard book and a wand. I don't know what this dude is. What do you think that, like a rogue? Probably. That's probably a fighter. That's so cool. There's like an old Gandalf doing something there. That's insane. That is so cool. There was something else. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, actually, I probably won't be able to find it. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find it. It was Lego Dungeons Dragons. Yeah, this is it. I don't know if you guys saw this. Let's get this back. Yeah, okay. So we'll watch this. Hopefully it sounds okay. This is, I don't know how good this is, right? This is something that Lego posted on their site, and this apparently is somebody who does like online Maybe you guys know. I thought it was going to be Critical Role people, but it's not.
Make a perception check for me.
First roll, first roll, first roll.
I mean, basically what this is going to mean now is I'm going to have to spend a bunch of money and buy some of these Dungeons and Dragons Legos, right? Because even though I don't know if I have the space to like display this giant castle with a dragon, my hope is that they sell other kits that are smaller boxes that I could like buy them and set them up on my desk. One of the reasons I never bought the Death Star, it wasn't that I didn't want to invest in the money, because I think investing in Legos, you're better off than investing in gold. But I think it's one of those things where I just don't have the space to display it. So, but I do have a bunch of like Harry Potter Legos in the box. I do have a bunch of Star Wars Legos in the box. So I'm probably going to look into getting this. I'm not sure if I'll get this exact gigantic castle, but definitely going to see if I can get at least some of the little action figures.
You see a rather strange looking
Why do I love it so much?
I know.
because everything that is made out of Lego pieces is adorable.
I hope that sounds all right.
Have you eaten any?
That's a mimic.
Yeah.
Hold on, I want to see the mimic again. That's really cool.
Have you eaten any customers yet?
What a piece of work, chicken. How noble in season.
See, I don't know who these people are, but I think they're like a Critical Role. Yeah, look at those. Those look really good. I'm gonna back it up. I mean, that's got to be a rogue, right? He's holding a dagger. He's got a crossbow. He looks like a half-orc. Yeah, that's a paladin, right? Or something like a paladin. It looks like he's a half-elf or something, based on that ear. I might be wrong. I mean, that's definitely an elf. And some sort of a sorcerer, or probably a wizard, because she's got a spell book. And like a wand. Look at that. I mean, that's awesome. There's the Gandalf. No, that's not. That's a dwarf. Yeah, right? That's a dwarf. Like, he's got the hammer. He's wearing sort of like the mail. I don't know what that's supposed to be. What do you guys think that is? But that's a right? That's like a Gimli or something. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. Oh, yeah. It's a pipe. Nerd factor. Yeah, I need all these. I don't know what that is, but that's cool.
Serious right
A
now?
natural 20.
That dragon is legit very cool. Wow. I would have freaked out if I could have had something like that when I was a kid.
If that doesn't get us Adventure of the Month, I don't know what will.
I guess they're gonna live stream that. So if you guys want to check it out, it's gonna be on YouTube, D&D Beyond. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. We're just checking out news, and I think it's really cool that Lego is doing a 50th anniversary for Dungeons and Dragons event thing. Like, how cool is that? That's amazing. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of Legos, and I found somebody was selling like a box that was like this castle, and it was all knights, like it was like yellow bricks and all these knights that like were all along it. I'm pretty sure that the directions to put it together are online. I just have never checked out to see if like I got the full set or not. One of the things that for a while I still have the store on eBay. but it's closed at the moment just because the economy got so effed after COVID. But so I used to sell vintage toys, and Legos were always like the number one seller. Legos, like I said, like you could get more money for Legos than probably like actual gold. Like people love them, and they sell immediately, so it's like not a bad investment. I don't have the space to display it, right? So what am I going to do with this giant castle with a dragon on it? But I probably will try to pick up some of these. I'm going to go and check out and see if they have like smaller sets or something like that. But that was it for the news. And like, man, I want to look at that. I want to see if there's a picture of that somewhere online. I'm looking up Lego Beholder, by the way. I didn't realize it was a thing that people make like all kinds of it looks like there's been like Lego Beholder contests, but I don't see the one that was actually listed in that pack, but it was really good. So I'm definitely going to try to pick that up. If they actually sell something like this, then I'll probably get it. Yeah, very cool.